As you know that before the emergence of Chandragupta Maurya to the northwestern part of India, Alexander reached. Just a second. Still, is there any issue? All right. All right. Now you draw world map now, because understanding world map is important to understand Mauryan Empire. By this time, you know that in India also so many institutions already established. So first you draw world map. Start with particularly Europe. This is Africa. For example, to have better idea, you can have this is equator. Africa, Saudi Arabia, then India comes. India, China, France, Scandinavian countries, and this one. At this point of time, this is the known world. Now, when it comes to Mauryan Empire, 321 to 185 BC. during this time period, Alexander Empire, when it comes to Alexander, 321 to 185 BC is considered as the time period of Mauryan Empire. But when it comes to Alexander, (327 through 325 BC in northwestern part of India, and during this time period, Chandragupta Maurya, Chanakya were contemporaries. And Alexander, he wanted to fight against Nanda dynasty. Alexander and Nanda dynasty, but due to already by 10 years in a decade, his soldiers, they were wary of the war and they wanted to go back, and now they could not fight with the Nanda dynasty, and also by this time Nanda dynasty is a very powerful one. Military wise, Macedonians were afraid of elephants. Now military wise, Nanda dynasty very powerful. This Nanda dynasty, it is what Chandragupta Maurya is going to overthrow. Now, what are the sources to understand Mauryan Empire? There are so many sources. Brahmanical sources are there, Buddhist sources are there, Jaina sources are there, and even foreign sources are also there. Now, by 327, 325 BC, Buddhism, Jainism already gaining the ground here. After the immediate death of Alexander, Alexander died in 323. So he died in 323. Immediately after his death, his entire empire was divided among his own generals. For example, this is northwestern part of India, and this area came under Seleucid Empire. And now this part Egypt, and this part divided by two people. So total 4 empires after Alexander. When it comes to
Recording in progress.
four empires. Here he was Seleucus Nicator. This particular part of empire was taken by Seleucus Nicator. Under Egypt was under some other general, Macedonia was under some other general, and some other areas were also under generals. Now here, Nandas were replaced by Chandragupta Maurya. Just to mention up to here, then we are going to have India map separately. Now draw India map. Now by 321 BC, what are the circumstances? By this time period, now I am writing down the timeline. 563, Buddha born. 483, Buddha died. And in 483, here Pataliputra was ruled by Ajatashatru. Pataliputra, before that Rajgir, these are the capitals. Magadha Empire. Magadha Empire was ruled by different dynasties. First dynasty is Haryanka. Haryanka dynasty like Bimbisara and Ajatashatru. When Buddha died, first Buddhist council was held by Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru belongs to Haryanka dynasty. Later, Shishunaga dynasty. After 100 years, this is first Buddhist council immediately after the death of Buddha. After 100 years, 383 BC, second Buddhist council was held, and at this time, Magadha was under Shishunaga dynasty. His name is Kalashoka. You should not get confused between Ashoka and Kalashoka. He belongs to Shishunaga dynasty. Later, after Shishunaga dynasty, Nanda dynasty comes. But in 283 BC, third Buddhist council was not held. By this time period, there were already so many differences within Buddhism itself. Once after 250 BC, Ashoka Third Buddhist Council was held. This dynasty is Mauryan dynasty. Understanding this religious development is important to understand Mauryan history. Up to here clear? Note down this. By 321 BC, Buddhism, and the same is the case with Jainism also. In addition to that, Vedic religion. Vedic religion also flooding or spreading in different parts of subcontinent. Now, Takshila, Madura, Ujjain, Broch, Python, Kandahar. Here in West Asia, Babylon. At that time, Babylon is in present-day Iraq region. After Mesopotamian civilization, and after that Persian Achaemenid Empire. After Achaemenid Empire, Alexander Empire. After Alexander Empire, now Seleucus Nicator is ruling. These are the various places. These are the religious developments that are going on within Indian subcontinent. Religion-wise, these are the development. And when it comes to social system, Varna system is going on. Slavery was also there. Women conditions, already some disabilities entrenched. And when it comes to Varna, Shudras, Chandalas, this kind of system prevalent within Indian subcontinent. Religion-wise, these are various developments. Society-wise, these are the developments. When it comes to economy-wise also, already now most of the subcontinent is connected with various routes. (321 BC), Chandragupta Maurya time period. And after some time, we are going to see Chola, Chera, Pandyas also, Sangam age. So almost entire Indian subcontinent now, for the first time, we are going to see that a pan-India empire. To understand it, we have to know what kind of circumstances are already prevalent. That's why by Mauryan time period, you should have this idea. For the first time, we are going to face not any particular society, not like Harappan society, not like Rigvedic society, not like Chalcolithic society. But first time, a kind of Indian society is about to emerge. Because for the first time, almost entire part of Indian subcontinent is about to come under single authority. That's why this understanding before understanding Mauryan Empire is very important. Societal organizations emerged, economic institutions emerged, and religious institutions also emerged. Not only emerged, so many differences also being emerged within religious, right up to here. Now with this understanding, I will give you the syllabus, then you will have idea how UPSC is expecting the questions from this chapter. Up to here, any doubts you have, students? This is the background. Now with this background, now we are entering into the UPSC syllabus. Please let me know once it is done. All of you done? I will give you the now how previous year questions are asked and what is the syllabus. Step by step we will go. Shall I continue? Yes. How UPSC is asking the syllabus. Here you make a table kind of format. This one. So this is the syllabus. And here you write PYQ. This table should contain like this. This side syllabus, I will give you important PYQs. Rest of the things you will get document, PDF, for understanding how questions are being asked. Here you write under syllabus, foundation of the Mauryan Empire. Foundation of the Mauryan Empire, comma, Chandragupta, Kautilya, and Ardhashastra. One part of the syllabus. And now you write question here. from this part of the syllabus, how questions were asked. Write this. Determine the extent of the Mauryan Empire. Determine the extent of Mauryan Empire. This is one question. Second question. How would you characterize the nature of Mauryan state? Nature of Mauryan state on the basis of Kautilya's Ardhashastra. On the basis of Kautilya's Ardhashastra. Kautilya Ardhashastra. This was asked in 2021, latest. And the earlier one is 2005. So based on this resource, how would you characterize the state? Extent of the Mauryan Empire, Ardhashastra, and this part. Second part. And this is Ashoka, concept of Dhamma, edicts. Concept of Dhamma, edicts. And from this part, let us see how questions are being asked. In 2017, you see this. In 2017, now this question will give you an idea how UPSC is trying to connect with the previous age, earlier part of the history. The concept of Ashoka's Dhamma. Question. The concept of Ashoka's Dhamma as found through his inscriptions, had its roots in Vedic Upanishadic literature. Are you getting now? When it comes to Buddhism also, UPSC is connecting Upanishadic principles with Buddhism. Now, after 300 years also, UPSC is connecting Ashoka Dhamma and Vedic Upanishadic literature. Vedic Upanishadic ideas in Dhamma. Ashoka, concept of Dhamma and edicts. In 2014, write the question. Discuss different interpretations. Discuss different interpretations of historians about the nature of Ashoka's Dhamma. About the nature of Ashoka's Dhamma. Full stop. Continue the question. Did his principle of Dhamma Vijaya render the Mauryan Empire militaristically weak? So they are asking Dhamma versus consequences of Dhamma, that is militaristically weak. This was asked in 2014. So in this part, you will expect like what is the nature of Dhamma, impact of Dhamma. On these lines only you will expect the questions. Remaining questions, I will send you one PDF, you will get this. On these lines you will find other questions also. Next one. Polity, administration, economy. This is the next sentence UPSC has given under Mauryan Empire. Polity, administration, economy. (2018) question. 2018, right one. So all the questions related to this part, either on polity or administration or economic conditions during this time period. And also how state involved in the economic activities. For the first time in our history, we are going to see an administration where so much interference in the economic development of a particular kingdom or empire. In 2018, write this question. Do you agree with the popular view? Do you agree with the popular view that Mauryas established a unitary and highly centralized if not monolithic state system? If not monolithic, unitary and highly centralized, if not monolithic state system. It is asking about the nature of administration, nature of political setup. Next one, 2012. Examine the role of Adhyaksha in the Mauryan administration. Mauryan administration. In 1990, there was a question. Write about the Mauryan policy of regulating and controlling economic activities. So it is the involvement of state in economic activities of the country. This part. So these are the UPSC exactly the sentences, and these are the PYQ parts from this particular part. Foundation of the empire, Chandragupta, Kautilya and Ardhashastra. And the next line, Ashoka, concept of Dhamma, edicts. Next one, polity, administration, economy. Next, UPSC has given art, architecture, architecture and sculpture. Art, architecture and sculpture, literature, next religion, spread of religion. In simple terms, this is exactly the words given in UPSC syllabus. You can say art and culture. Art and culture. Art, architecture and sculpture, literature, religion, spread of religion. This is next part of UPSC syllabus. Let us see how questions are coming from this part. 2019. Explain how Ashoka used religion as a tool of political aggrandizement. Now you see how UPSC is connecting. It is connecting religion with polity administration. How Ashoka used religion as a tool for political aggrandizement. How religion was used as a political tool in simple terms. Next, you see this art, architecture, sculpture part. Now we know that before the emergence of Alexander, already this area was under Achaemenid Empire. Achaemenid Empire, because of interaction with Parisian and Indian, a different type of script also emerged in the northwestern part of India, that is Kharosthi script. And this interaction is not only limited to the language, economy also, trade also, art and architecture also, some kind of influence. And because of this influence, some historians even considered whatever Ashoka or art and sculpture of Mauryan Empire, some historians, those who want to propagate the British imperialist idea that no institution is indigenous, whatever greatness that had took place in ancient times, it was a result of some kind of foreign influence. As part of this, now you see the question. Mauryan court art. Mauryan court art as an alien grafting. As Mauryan court art as an alien grafting. So it's saying that there is nothing indigenous about Mauryan art. Everything is because of the foreign influence. This was asked in 1988. And in 1993, similar question related to this. Similarities and differences between Mauryan columns and Achaemenid pillars. Mauryan columns and Achaemenid pillars. So UPSC asked, what are the similarities and what are the differences between Achaemenid Empire, very powerful in Iran, and interaction in the northwestern Gandhara part, and what kind of influence that was there in Indian art, and what are the differences. Now you can see this kind of question is throughout our history, it is very common. Indian elements and foreign elements combination. This is with respect to art and architecture. Next one, external contacts. This is the UPSC term, external contacts. And if you see in our history syllabus, this is first time we are going to see this external contact. Up to now, we have seen Indus Valley civilization, Vedic period, and different local traditions like Neolithic, Chalcolithic. All these are very geographically very localized phenomena. Harappan is flourishing here, Chalcolithic in different parts, Neolithic in different parts, early Vedic time period in this location, later Vedic time period in this location. Even Mahajanapadas also, it is not a single Mahajanapada, 16 Mahajanapadas were there, different kingdoms in different regions. And later Magadha expanded all the areas and almost entire Indian subcontinent under single authority. In present day modern times, it is like Indian government. Mauryan government, Maurya is the dynasty name, Magadha was the kingdom name. Because at that time, we don't know what entire Indian people called themselves, because at that time regional identities were more. With the kingdom name, this region was called with the kingdom name. That is why Persians called, for example, the area beyond this they called Hind. And when this Hind went to Western European countries, that became India. But Indians, for example, Harappan people, we don't know what Harappan people called themselves. But Mesopotamians called Harappans as Meluha. Similarly, when it comes to Aryan people, early Vedic or later Vedic, Aryan people called themselves Aryans, and they have given names to other people, different names, non-Aryans or Dasas, Dasyus. These are the terms given by Aryans to other side. But we don't know what other side people they called themselves and what they called Aryan people, we don't have any reference. This is the problem of ancient India. Unless we have evidence, we don't know what exactly they called. By 300 BC, now Aryan, non-Aryan, all these concepts are becoming irrelevant by this time period. Irrelevant means in terms of identity. Now people are considering themselves as part of Mauryan Empire people or Mauryan subjects, Mauryan people. The people who are living under Mauryan authority. Because everywhere, whether you take this part, this part, this part, this part, local regional identities now for the first time are going to take backseat. Centralized authority is going to come. and most part of India feeling themselves as part of single authority. Today also it is the same in this geographic location. Even though we have different religions, different languages, different geographic identities, still we consider all of us Indians. That is single identity. Indian identity is the single identity, whether you are living in this part, whether you are living in this part, in this part, in this part, anywhere. But again, local identity you will have. But now Indian identity is taking precedence over all the other identities. By 300 BC also, this Mauryan identity is emerging. That's why those people like Seleucus Nicator in this side, they are going to call the people under Mauryan, like Mauryan subjects, Mauryan Empire. So this is how Indian culture is emerging. Even though different religions are there, Indian religion is about to emerge. Different cultures are there, Indian culture is about to emerge. And different transportation system, Indian subcontinent is getting connected with different roads and transportation mechanisms. Spiritual people are moving across the country. Goods are moving across the country. Ideas are moving across the country. So this is how Mauryan Empire is very, very important in our history. This is first time in our Indian history. First empire emerged. First time almost entire Indian subcontinent. The present day Afghanistan was under. It's not only about the present day boundary. Afghanistan under Mauryan. Pakistan under Mauryan. Bangladesh under Mauryan authority. So for first time now, almost entire Indian subcontinent, not only present day India, entire Indian subcontinent under one authority. This is why Mauryan Empire is very, very important in our history. Questions, this is how questions are coming. And in that context, external contacts. How Indians were having contacts with the outside world. For example, when it comes to Harappan people contacts with outside world means Mesopotamia. By 300, as an entire India, Harappan people limited to the Sindh region, Indus Valley. But external context here means almost India versus other countries. Like today we are having so many foreign relations with other countries. Similarly, at this point of time, what are the external contacts? How questions are coming? In 2015, so Indian identity is gradually emerging. In 2015, delineate the nature and the impact of delineate the nature and the impact of India's contact with Western Asia. India's contact with Western Asia. Western Asia and the Mediterranean world. And Mediterranean world during the Mauryan period. In simple terms, in our GS2, we have international relations. How India's relations with West Asia. Similar pattern. How Mauryan people had relations with West Asia. Geography is same. Whether it is 3000 years ago or the present day, only country names will change. People name will change. But the geographic location remains the same. That's why Mauryans and West Asia, you can compare with the present day like present day modern republic, Indian republic contacts with West Asia and the Mediterranean world. Likewise, Mauryan Western Asia contacts with Mauryan world. Next question. 1981, this was asked in 1981. Now you can see this. Why I am giving 1981, 1979 questions means those questions only they are repeating in a different way in the latest trend. Bring out the elements. Bring out the elements of change and continuity. Change and continuity in the domestic and foreign policies of Ashoka. In the domestic and foreign policies of Ashoka. Foreign policies of Ashoka. In the present times, like for example, suppose when for every 5 years we have elections. We are in a democratic country now because our political system is in 21st century political system is different. 3rd century BCE political system was different. That time monarchy, kingdoms, empires, rulers. Now present day democratic system, democracy is the established system of Indian Republic. Common people, they themselves rule. At that time, rulers from the same family, they used to rule the country. For every 5 years, we have elections. Suppose when government changes, we used to like what was the foreign policy of the previous government and what is the foreign policy of present day government. Same is the case. What was the foreign policy of Chandragupta Maurya? What are the foreign policies of Ashoka? What was the foreign policy of later Shungas? Likewise, we are going to see. If we go dynasty wise, what was the foreign policy of Mauryans? What was the foreign policy of Shungas? And if we go by ruler, what was the foreign policy of Chandragupta Maurya? What was the foreign policy of Ashoka? Then medieval times also. This question is very, very important. Nowadays, UPSC is focusing on this particular aspect. They are asking, recently there was a question even in medieval times also, foreign policy of Mughals. Foreign policy of Mauryans here, foreign policy of Mughals. Then foreign policy of the British. And the present day foreign policy, it will come in the form of GS2 international relations. In history, we get questions like this. And if it is after independence you will get either question in GS1 or GS2. Only time changes, but the nature of geography is same, nature of the foreign policy. It is to protect the national interest. Today we are calling to protect the national interest. And at this time, what is the nature or what is the goal of foreign policy? To protect the Mauryan kingdom, to protect the Mauryan empire and to propagate Mauryan ideals. And now you see this, change and continuity of domestic and foreign policies of Ashoka. In a different way, in 2015 they asked how Mauryans had relations with West Asia and the Mediterranean world. And this is external contact. Last sentence in UPSC syllabus, that is disintegration. So here you can see foreign policy. Economy came, polity came, art and culture came, foreign policy came. Now you see for every dynasty, almost it is going to be the same. Art and culture, polity, administration, economy. And when it comes to this concept of Dhamma, edicts, Ashoka, rulers, the establishment. And if you observe this similar pattern will follow for the rest of Indian history. If you take Guptas, the rise of Guptas, syllabus is going to be the rise of Guptas, then polity of Guptas, administration of Guptas, economy of Guptas, and society of Guptas. Then art and culture part of Guptas. Then their relations with outside world, if there is any, if it is very important, significant. And in the end, the disintegration of the Gupta dynasty. And when it comes to Mauryan, the syllabus is disintegration of the empire. Disintegration of the empire. But this is the line given in UPSC syllabus. And later, Shungas and Kanvas. how questions are asked in this part. In 1982, the question was, do you think that economic factors were alone? Do you think that economic factors alone were responsible for the disintegration of the Mauryan Empire? Do you think that economic factors were alone responsible for the disintegration of the Mauryan Empire? The same question, what are the factors? It is not only about economic factors, there are other factors also that we are going to see. But this question is almost universal. Just you replace Mauryan Empire with Gupta Empire. What are the factors for disintegration of Gupta Empire? One question can be asked. Then what are the factors for disintegration of Delhi Sultanate in medieval time period? What are the factors for disintegration of Mughals? Same question in medieval times. So it is universal. You can just simply replace the dynasty name. You will get the question for other part of the history. (1983), the last question. So this will give you complete overall idea how syllabus and how questions are coming from this chapter. 1983. Examine the importance of Ashoka's Rock Edict 13. Examine the importance of Ashoka's Rock Edict 13 for determining the extent of the Mauryan Empire. Extent of the Mauryan Empire. Full stop. Did Ashoka's policies and reforms contribute to the fall of the empire? Full stop. Sorry, this is not 83, this is 93. 1993 question. So this is how the UPSC syllabus. Now on top of it, other part is there. Specifically UPSC did not mention like sources here, but they will come as part of sources. Now overall, these are the lines exactly UPSC has given. So it starts with, if you see the notification, foundation of Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta, Kautilya and Ardhashastra. Next line, Ashoka, concept of Dhamma, edicts. And then polity, administration, economy, art and culture. Then external contacts, foreign relations, disintegration. And later, the successors. Next you write sources. It was not asked, but questions are coming in this part. Overall, how we know about Mauryan Empire. Write this. Examine sources of information. Examine Sources of information for Mauryan dynasty. Sources of information for Mauryan dynasty. Full stop. Throw light on historical significance of Ashoka's inscription. Ashoka's inscriptions. Ashoka's inscription. This was asked in 1999. And you write one question, that was the last one. 1989, there was a question. It gives all the important resources. Discuss the comparative merit. Discuss. Now you see, this question will cover almost entire chapter of Mauryan Empire. Discuss the comparative merit of Ardhashastra, the Indica, and Ashoka inscriptions. You see, if you observe this is Indian source, Indian literary source, and this is foreign literary source, and this is archaeological source. In single question itself, you will find almost entire chapter will come. Indian literary sources, foreign literary sources, archaeological sources. Question is, discuss the comparative merit of the Ardhashastra, the Indica and Ashoka inscriptions as a source for as sources for. Now you see almost every part of chapter will come. Ashoka inscriptions as sources for the administration, socio-economic conditions, and religious life. You see, sources, administration came, society came, economy came, religion came, religious life in the Mauryan period. Just a single question. At that time, 60-mark questions used to come, 60-marker questions in 1989. That's why so many pages a student can write. These kind of questions are possible. But nowadays, you will not expect this one, but only one particular, like how Ardhashastra gives information about this, how Indica will give information, how inscriptions will give about this. Because maximum now 20 marker, 15 marker or 10 marker. Oh, this much big question cannot be asked. Entire chapter is covered in this. So this is how questions are coming. So broadly, entire chapter, Mauryan Empire, sources, how do we know about this particular part of our history, then the rise of Mauryan Empire and the founders, then expansion, extent, what are the sources, and how this empire emerged, the rise, who are the founders, expansion and extent. Once it comes, their politico administration. Once entire, you can say like geography also. Once this geography is part of under their empire, now how they ruled, what principles they followed in administration, what was the political setup, how one ruler succeeded other ruler, politico administration. Then economy, then society, then art and culture, including religion, art and culture, religion, sculpture, architecture, all those elements. And when it comes to economy, you have agriculture, industry, trade, monetary system, and this is almost now universal. Now by this time, by Mauryan time period, every part of institution is well established. Suppose when it comes to Paleolithic, we don't have all these established institutions. Mesolithic, we don't have. Neolithic, somewhat like agriculture emerged. Then after that, by Harappan time period, Harappans, they have all these features, but we don't know how they are, because we don't have references. Only archaeological sources are the main sources to understand Harappan. That is the problem with Harappan civilization. Then early Vedic, some of these institutions emerged. Later Vedic, some of these now accumulating. By Mahajanapada period, strengthened. By Mauryan time period, all these institutions gained mature stage. When it comes to society, like Varna system, Ashrama system, women conditions, education, all the social elements, art and culture. Last one, disintegration. The rise, and the last one, disintegration, and in between we are going to see this political administration, economy, society, art and culture. These institutions, just you replace Mauryan Empire with Gupta Empire, and same is the case. Just you replace Guptas with Delhi Sultanate, again same thing is going to be there. Then after that, Mughals, again same thing. Then British Empire. So almost we are going to see the same repeated themes. This is our entire history syllabus. That's why the syllabus appears very big. But if you fit in this framework, just one framework, just we are changing from time period to the time period. That's why if you have strong basis of up to Mahajanapada time period, on top of it we are going to add a few more. Then if you are strong up to Mauryans, you are going to add some more elements in post-Mauryan period, and the remaining institutions are almost the same. By Gupta time period, almost all whatever you read up to post-Mauryan are going to be there, and only few additional things will come. So this is how Indian culture, Indian society, Indian economy is emerging. Up to independence, up to 1964 is part of our syllabus. As part of our history syllabus, ancient, medieval, modern India, up to 1964, history optional related questions used to come. After 1964 till today, it is also part of history only. But UPSC is not asking these questions as part of history, but as part of general studies. If you observe this, political administration, GS2, Economy, GS3. Society, GS1. Art and culture, GS1. But time period is from 1947 to 2023. So you can include entire GS syllabus also into our history framework like this. Only time period will change. After independence, all these institutions are coming as part of GS syllabus, and before that as part of history optional. So that means if you consider up to till today, then every part of your UPSC mains examination is part of history only. Is it clear? So this is how you have to see from now onwards. Yes, Tarun, slavery. In society, slavery also. So other social institutions. In detail, we are going to study various elements in economy, in society. And this understanding is important. Even those who are studying now, all these institutions, we don't know whether Mauryan people, how they studied their history up to them. All these institutions are categorized in our history in 19th century and 20th century. For example, if you take Karl Marx, he studied entire history and he has given a different kind of interpretation. Then Max Muller, he gave different kind of interpretation. V.A. Smith to our Indian history, different. Then up to independence, these are foreign authors. Next, when it comes to Indian historians, R.G. Bhandarkar, K.P. Jaiswal. There are so many people within India. K.A. Neelakanta Shastri, South Indian history, he studied. When it comes to post-independence, after India got independence, D.D. Koshambi, R.S. Sharma, D.N. Jha, Romila Tapar. They studied about ancient India and they gave different kind of interpretations. And when it comes to medieval time period, Irfan Habib, Satish Chandra, other. Then modern time period, Sumit Sarkar, many other historians. So this is how they are also going to study the same institutions. And they studied all these institutions since ancient times. According to their understanding, they have written their understanding in their own books. And these books have inspired the later generation. For example, whatever Karl Marx interpreted, it inspired a new generation of next historians, Marxist historians. Then when it comes to James Mill and the utilitarian ideology of 19th century inspired a whole lot of British imperialist. When it comes to Indian freedom, during freedom fight time period, Indian historians have given interpretation according to our understanding. That gave inspiration to the nationalist historians. So nationalist historian, imperialist historians and Marxist historians. And there is another section also that all these people were talking in a very limited way, and some historians wanted to give emphasis on common people. Common people. And they were talking about art and architecture, economy part, political administration, rulers, their establishment, different rulers. But they are not talking about women, slaves, Sudras, untouchables, how these common people were living in their establishment. In all these interpretation, for example, imperialist interpretation, they focused more on this, who established and how they ruled. That is why despotic rulers concepts emerged. Always India was under despotic rulers. So this kind of interpretations came because their emphasis was on expansion, imperialism, and also military victories. That is why V.A. Smith, one third of his book, he talks about Alexander only. That was more emphasis on the founders and the rulers, and nowhere common people. Even if they mention, they simply mention institutions like slavery was there, institutions like women degradation, small references, but they won't talk about common people. And when it comes to Marxist historians, they talk about economic, how the economy was produced and how this influenced the political system. They talked about in this particular angle. And when it comes to nationalist, most of the nationalists, like they glorified India's religion, Indian art and culture part, and also Indian rulers. Once again, this part is missing. That is why a new kind of historians, they started talking about common people, subaltern. Subaltern studies emerged. So all these in 19th and 20th century, these people, these historians are also, they were reading about the same institutions of different time periods. Mauryan, Guptas, Delhi Sultanate, Mughals, British, same institutions in this framework they are talking. And according to their understanding, they have written the books. And this is how different interpretations came, different historians emerged. Is it clear? As part of our history syllabus, Mauryan Empire is Unit 7. Almost, this is if we have strong control over up to Mauryans. That means, apart from map question, map anyway, it is compulsory, you are going to write, you cannot do anything. And you have to choose another question, definitely, compulsorily you have to write one more question from ancient India. And if you are strong up to Mauryan Empire, one question, one full question, A, B, C, you can definitely attempt completely. So Unit 7, almost 50%. The total we have in paper 1, part A, 14 chapters are there. 15th one is Delhi Sultanate. 14th one up to 14th early medieval time period, and this is the 7th one. So we are reaching almost 50%. And by this time, institutions are same. Just hereafter, only extension of this. Even in Mauryan period also, we are not going to have so many new things. Whatever we talked up Mahajanapada time period, we are going to repeat almost many things. Is it clear, students? Up to here, any doubts? If you have any doubts, please ask me. Is it clear? This is how you have to see Mauryan Empire, Mauryan history and Mauryan Empire syllabus. Now, I will give you complete the political establishment, how the political system is changing, how the social system was there, how economic system was there. Broadly, I will give. And thereafter, what we have to see, like how questions we have to answer, how we have to answer the questions. I will give you model references also, different topics and different dimensions under it, and how you are going to present in the examination. Before that, we have to know about how the foundations of Mauryan Empire were laid and how it is getting expanded, what was the relationship with the outside world and all those things. Let us see this. Here, Nandas, when Nandas were there, Alexander came and he went back. Babylon, and he died in Babylon, 323 BC. And here there is Takshila. And Takshila, already by this time, an important university. Takshila University. And Gandhara region, this area is known for early Vedic traditions, Rig Veda. In this area, Sanskrit is also important language. Do you remember Ashtadhyayi? Who has written Ashtadhyayi? Yes, Tarun, I will upload. Panini? Panini has written the grammar which is considered as the first systematic grammar on Sanskrit. Panini. Panini has written Ashtadhyayi. And Panini also living in this part of Indian subcontinent only. This is somewhere around 450 BC. Problem with this, we don't know exactly the timelines of Panini also. And Buddha also, some accounts says 583 he was born, some account says 580 he was born, some account says 540. We don't have exact references. Only based on estimations only we come to know. That is why you will find that in history, 4th century BC, 5th century BC, 6th century BC. Because we don't have exact references. Around 450 BC, Panini Ashtadhyayi was also written in this part. Rig Veda in this area, Takshila University. According to legend, here in this Takshila University, Kautilya was teaching. In his empire, Chandragupta Maurya was there. He belongs to a family called Mura. Mother name is Mura. From there, Mauryan Empire emerged, or the name of the Chandragupta Maurya emerged. 450 Sanskrit grammar, that means you see this Vedic or Brahmanical texts. Are already taking shape in terms of Sanskrit grammar. Sanskrit grammar emerged. So we are talking around, we are in 320s. By this time, Sanskrit grammar came. Sutra literature, like Griha Sutra, how a householder should behave. So this is establishing dharma. Dharma in Sanskrit, that is duty. Griha Sutra, how a householder, what duties should be followed. Shulva Sutra, in the construction of fire altars, a kind of measurements and duty, how to construct. So likewise, Dharma Sutras, in case of political administration, what kind of philosophy, principles a ruler has to follow. This kind of tradition is emerging. By this time period itself, it is emerging. This is with respect to Vedic religion. Now, when it comes to Buddhism, by this time period, whatever Buddha was preaching in his lifetime, his disciples like Ananda, Upali, they remembered whatever. Because at this point of time, we don't have writing tradition, only oral tradition. Vedas, Rig Veda was also just orally transmitted from generation to generation. Buddha was also teaching, he was saying to the disciples, and in those times, disciples used to remember, their memory capability is very high. They used to remember. Immediately after death of Buddha, they conveyed first Buddhist council. The purpose of this council was to record properly whatever Buddha was teaching. They compiled in single place that became later Tripitakas, Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka. By 320s, Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka were only there. Abhidhamma Pitaka is about to come later. By 320s, Sutra literature, Sutra tradition emerged. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka traditions emerged. And when it comes to Jainism also, the traditions, the teachings of Mahavira and other 24 Tirthankaras are also in common people. This is how different traditions are emerging. Chandragupta Maurya, after some time, not in 320s, but post-Mauryan time period, Puranas concepts also is about to emerge. Because Buddhism and Jainism, they are attacking the Brahmanical tradition. Buddhism and Jainism attacking the evils of Brahmanical tradition. When they were attacking, gradually within Brahmanical religion also reformation started. And they also started talking about non-violence. Because when it comes to Buddhism and Jainism, the core philosophy is non-violence. And when it comes to Brahmanical tradition, still sacrifices were there. They are also going to gradually reform the Brahmanical system. They are also going to take non-violence as the core theme. That is how, when it comes to Bhakti movement in Brahmanical tradition, it preaches non-violence. But Buddhism and Jainism, they are very powerful in 320 BC. Gradually, they are going to take place. And in fact, apart from Buddhism, Jainism and Brahmanical tradition, other sects like Ajivaka, this was also one of the powerful movements during Mauryan time period. That is why Ashoka constructed Barabar caves for Ajivaka sect. And his grandson Dasharatha, he also constructed Nagarjuni Hills caves again for Ajivaka sect. That means when Ajivaka sect is getting royal patronage, that means they must be very powerful or very popular sect in the common public. So this is how by 320s, this is the establishment. Kautilya, he belongs to Brahmanical tradition. The problem with this is, even we don't have a single authority, single source to reconstruct. Different historians or different sources are giving different tradition, but more or less agreed that his name is Vishnugupta initially, then Kautilya, different traditions. He belongs to Brahmana. He was teaching in Takshila University, and he had conflict with the Nandas. Again, this is a legend. We don't know how far it is true also. Kautilya had conflict with Nandas, and he was looking for some other alternative. It is simply like in the modern times, suppose there is a government, and that government is known for corruption and other law and order issues and some other evils within the existing system. Then naturally, there will be people who oppose the existing government and they want to replace the existing government with new government. And they will find some other alternative for the new government. they will support that particular leader and new leader form the new government. This is with respect to present day democracy. At that time, Nanda dynasty was there. Nanda dynasty is known for corruption and other evils, and people were expecting change. And Kautilya also, according to legend, he wanted to replace this system and he encouraged Chandragupta Maurya. And with his support, Kautilya's support, Chandragupta Maurya overthrew Nandas and established Mauryan Empire or Mauryan dynasty. He started Mauryan dynasty. By this time, already Alexander invasions were taking place here. According to tradition that Chandragupta Maurya was observing Alexander military tactics, and under the guidance of Kautilya and with the knowledge of military tactics, he could completely overthrow Nandas and he became powerful emperor. For the first time, we have definite historical resources to understand about Chandragupta Maurya. And this is what, even for historians also, Mauryan Empire is like, if you see, you think like you are a historian. And Mauryan Empire and pre-Mauryan. If you are a historian, now you want to study about ancient past, now you will go back, you will start reading Vedas because it was considered as the early part of Indian history. Then again, as a historian, you want to separate what is legend, what is historical past, what is really happened and what is imaginary. But you will have some problem with Rig Veda. You don't know exactly what is real, what is imaginary. Then you will start reading later Vedas. Then again, same problem will come. Then Dharma Sutras you will read, again you will start reading, same problem. Next you will start reading about Tripitakas. And it is talking about Buddha, birth and death. Again, you will have problem whether it is true or whether it is imaginary. Then you will go for Jainism text. Jainism text talk about 24 Tirthankaras. And these 24 Tirthankaras, whether they are real or imaginary, again, don't know. For a historian, this is very much confusing part up to now. And you will start reading up to here. Historian desperately is expecting what is exactly happened to reconstruct history. And he comes to Mauryan Empire. For the first time, Mauryan Empire, Indian sources, and these Indian sources, Brahmanical sources were there, Buddhist sources were there, and Jaina sources were also there. You will have not only single source, you have multiple sources. And for historians also, it is very much delightful development. That's why for historians, if it is like a dark, because we don't know exactly what is real, and Mauryan period is like a light. So for historians, they are moving from darkness to the light. Because many references, many sources are there. Not only Indian sources, even foreign sources are also there. And these foreign sources, at this time, Alexander belongs to Greece, Greek accounts. Later, Alexander Empire was disintegrated. Later, Roman Empire emerged, and Roman authors also, they have written some books about India. They are called Latin because their language was Latin. So Greek language, Latin language. That is why when it comes to sources, you will hear this term, Greco-Roman accounts. Because they are not separate. The Greek tradition continued by Romans, that's why Greco-Roman accounts. Greek-Latin accounts, same thing. Now historians have foreign sources also, whatever, whether Brahmanical tradition, Buddhism, Jainism, Now, if historian is not able to accept, then they will go to Buddhist source. If he is not able to or she is not able to accept this also, they can cross-verify Jaina sources. Now, if all these traditions, if historians have some kind of disagreement, and they can go for these sources also. So, multiple sources, and on top of it, archaeological sources also there. So, it is like, now you see, it's like for historian, coming from darkness towards the light. Indian sources are there, foreign sources are there, archaeological sources are also there. So many sources to cross-verify all these things. That is why we could definitely say that, for example, the founder of the Mauryan dynasty, we can definitely with 100% clarity say that Chandragupta Maurya is the founder of Mauryan dynasty. Because Chandragupta Maurya was mentioned in Brahmanical sources also, Puranas. Puranas were not written at this time. Puranas written in post-Mauryan time period during Gupta time period. But they will talk about Mauryan time period. Because they used to trace. For example, in 12th century, Kalhana has written a book called Rajitarangini. And he did not write Rajitarangini only 12th century history. He has traced since beginning of the time period. Like gods created, then Mahabharata time period, then later Vedic time period. Likewise, Kalhana, like that is why Rajitarangini, the river of kings, he used to trace from beginning to 12th century. And that talks about even Mauryans also. According to Rajitarangini Kalhana, the capital Srinagar, the foundation of Srinagar was laid by Ashoka. That means 12th century source, we have something to talk about Mauryans also. Similarly, Puranas, which were written in later time period, they also talk about Mauryans. That is why Puranas also give the reference. Puranas, they mention Chandragupta Maurya and Mauryans belong to Shudra category. Puranas degrade the Mauryans because Mauryans did not patronize Brahmanism. They patronized Buddhism and other sects which are non-violent in nature. And in fact, their main aim was to promote all the religions, to promote harmony in the society. So that is why when it comes to Puranas, they throw poor light. And as a historian, you will not accept because it might be having the bias. That's why you will go for other source. And when it comes to foreign source, Greek accounts, they mention Chandrakotas. It was the name given by Greek source that a person called Chandrakotas, he overthrew Nandas and established Mauryan dynasty. And that is how we come to conclusion that whether with biased version of Puranas, there was a ruler called Chandragupta Maurya and he was referred as Chandrakotas and he was contemporary to Alexander and Alexander was living in 320s. That means a person called Chandrakotas must be belongs to 320. And if in 320s, if Chandrakotas founded an empire, that must be Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta Maurya. Because in Indian sources, Chandragupta Maurya was mentioned. So that is how historians were continuously having so many references to corroborate and compare and finally compiled the Mauryan history. So this is how foreign sources we have, Indian sources we have, definite sources we have, lot of sources. That is why sources are very important. Questions can be asked in UPSC. It can be Ardhashastra as a source. It can be Puranas as a source. It can be Megasthenes as a source. And in inscriptions of Ashoka as a source of Mauryan history. These are religions. This is how. Now, if we believe Maurya Puranas as the source, Chandragupta Maurya belongs to Shudra. Different traditions says like Nandas belong to Kshatriya family and Nanda with a Shudra woman relationship, marital relationship is there, and out of this marriage relationship, Chandragupta Maurya was born. Another version. So we don't know exactly what the real source is. The reality is. But definitely we can say that Kautilya belongs to Brahmanas. If we go by this, Chandragupta Maurya belongs to Shudras. Then a Shudra is about to rule. So this is what you have to see. Always Kshatriya is considered as the sole authority of ruling. But if we go by this account, that means a Shudra could get into the offices of kingdom and Brahmana. And when it comes to Chandragupta Maurya, he patronized Jainism. So Jainism is also popular. So now you see this Jainism religion, Brahmanical religion, and Shudra. In theory, these Dharma Sutras were saying that it has to be Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Then in this case, Mauryan, then Kshatriyas for ruling, the duty is to rule, then a Shudra is ruling now. And now, these rulers not only patronizing Brahmanism, they are patronizing Jainism also, Buddhism also, Brahmanism also. So this is how the question, like Varna system was in theory. Dharma Shastras and Dharma Sutras were expecting a ruler should follow Varna system, rigid Varna system. That is only in theory. But in practice, it is what happening. And when it comes to Guptas, Guptas belong to Vaishyas, and again, they are going to rule. And they also, even though they encouraged more of Brahmanism, but they did not persecute other religions. In practice, something else is happening, and in theory, a different type of system is expected by these systems. So that is why earlier I have given one question like, even the Varna system, in theory, it was expected, but in practice, in ancient India itself, it was different. And this tradition, Shudras becoming the rulers, we are going to see so many rulers gradually, they are about to rise gradually. When foreign migrants used to take place, and these foreign tribals, they are about to become Kshatriyas. So this way, you just have this one. Under these circumstances, Chandragupta Maurya became the ruler. Historians have definite resources to say that Chandragupta Maurya belonged to 320s and he was contemporary to Alexander. And he established Mauryan dynasty. And once he became the ruler, he wanted to conquer this, and he conquered this part of Indian subcontinent. Here, after the death of Alexander, Seleucus Nicator, he succeeded. Seleucus Nicator and Chandragupta Maurya, they fought against each other in 305 BC. Chandragupta Maurya defeated Seleucus Nicator. Seleucus Nicator and Chandragupta Maurya had a peace treaty. And this peace treaty, with this peace treaty, once again, the northwestern part of India considered as part of Mauryan Empire. Now you have to see this. Achaemenid Empire conquered Gandhara, Cambodge, Sindh region. Later Alexander conquered these regions. Now once again they are coming back to the Indian fold. Now this became, Indus region became the boundary between Seleucus Nicator and Mauryan. So if we replace Mauryan with the Indian dynasty, India and West Asia. India and West Asia had the boundary Indus, Seleucus Nicator. Now as part of this peace treaty, Seleucus Nicator sent one ambassador to here. His ambassador is Megasthenes. And Megasthenes, Seleucus Nicator was having the capital at Babylon. And Syria, Syrian region, that was very powerful one, and entire Syria. Seleucus Nicator, Seleucid Empire of Syria was considered as the powerful empire at this time. And now West Asia and India. In the modern language, West Asia and India, they were having the relationship. Peace treaties were happened. In 305, Seleucus Nicator and Chandragupta Maurya had peace treaty. As part of peace treaty, Indian ambassadors to this side and these ambassadors to this side. We don't know what ambassador went there, but we have a reference of Megasthenes because he has written a book called Indica, and that Indica gives details about Mauryan Empire. So Megasthenes, he talked about his observations about India in Indica. So likewise, first time we are going to see that India is maintaining foreign relations with outside world. So this uniqueness, this identity of Indianness is about to emerge now because of Pan-India establishment. Up to here, is it clear? Yes. So today we stop here. Have this understanding. You read R.S. Sharma, just you read a few pages up to Chandragupta Maurya and Kautilya, you will get better clarity. NCERT, R.S. Sharma. Come tomorrow after reading that, then we will continue from here onwards. So this idea is important. Now we have seen how Indian society is there. This is how the existing Indian conditions, this is how the foreign conditions. And with this, we are going to have complete idea about administration, economic condition, society, and socio-religious setup of Mauryan Empire. So tomorrow onwards, we will take one by one, and I will give some points also, I will dictate you also on what dimensions you have to write when it comes to mains examination. Is it all right? I will send you this presentation also, class PPT also I will send, and also I will send the previous year questions also. Is it clear? So if you have any doubts, you can ask me tomorrow when you come, okay? All right. Thank you.